Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user Thurway Mill Diaper. Am I the a-hole for revoking my mother-in-law's babysitting rights because she put my son in a diaper? My husband, 31 male, and I, 29 female, have a son, 3 male, and a baby girl on the way. As a baby, my son developed a severe allergy to diapers. He'd get awful rashes that took way too long to get better, and nothing we did helped much. Due to that, my husband and I decided to start potty training a bit early, right before he was 18 months old. We talked to his pediatrician and relied on cloth diapers as much as we could. After a few months of that, he'd almost grown out of his allergy, but we kept going. Today, he's fully potty trained. He has some very rare accidents, but only when he tries to delay his bathroom trips for too long. When that happens, we wash him up and replace his underwear. My husband's mother was firmly against our decision to potty train our son early. She insisted that it would lead to irritable bowel syndrome and that he should wear diapers until he was at least 3. She tried to convince us to change our minds for months, but we held our ground. In early December, I had a doctor's appointment while my husband was at work, so I left our son with my mother-in-law for a couple of hours. Sometime later, she called me and said my son had a bathroom accident. He hadn't had one in months. I instructed her on how to proceed as well as where to find the spare clothes I packed for him. I picked him up about an hour later. On our way home, he complained about being itchy. I didn't know why until I got him ready for bath time later that night. He was wearing a diaper. He didn't get any rashes, but the diaper was a couple of sizes too small, and he hadn't worn one in a long time. So I think that's where the itchiness came from. When I asked him about it, he confirmed my mother-in-law had said he was still a baby and put him in the diaper. When my husband and I confronted her about it, she defended herself by saying his accident was clear proof we'd made a mistake by potty training him early and he should go back to wearing diapers for the time being. At no point did she apologize. We decided she was forbidden from babysitting as well as spending time with our son unsupervised. She didn't think we were serious until we went to her place on Saturday. We had to go to the hospital and rather than leaving our son with her, we took him with us. Now that she knows we're serious, she's calling us dramatic and ungrateful, as well as claiming we're alienating her from her grandchild out of stubbornness. She maintains she was right about early potty training being a bad idea and was only trying to help us. I don't think we're in the wrong, but this does feel a bit dramatic. My brother-in-law, who was skeptical of our decision back in the day, thinks we're right to be angry, but it's still an overreaction to revoke her permission to babysit our son. Am I the a-hole? Well, OP, my judgment is no, you are not the a-hole. You are the parent and you made a responsible decision after having consulted with your pediatrician. Grandma's opinion was unwarranted. Sure, okay, let her have her opinion and that's as far as she can go. The one time you said something, enough, thank you, we heard you, we're moving on. And that's where it should have ended. Now, regarding your son's accident, yeah, it happens. Kids have accidents, even potty-trained ones, Grandma. And the solution was simple. You gave her specific instructions. Just wash him and put on the change of clothes that I've packed for him. However, pot calling the kettle black stubborn grandma here decided she knew best. Now, the only question I have is, where did that diaper come from? Because if your son is the only grandchild, which we don't know, she could have others, means that she probably had one in stock. So this is something that's been premeditated. The first chance she would have gotten, she would have put a diaper on your son. Now, what baffles me is that this lady can't let this issue go for over a year and a half. You guys started potty training your son in 18 months. He's 3 now. Maybe grandma should watch Frozen and learn to let it go. So no, I agree. Permission to babysit revoked. And of course, again, you're not the a-hole. And what do you guys think about this whole situation? What is your judgment? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. The Bronze Princess 03 says, not the a-hole. Not only did she disrespect your parenting decision, she doubled down. Therefore, you can't trust her not to do it again. Tell her she can see him during family functions and she can visit when she wants, but she won't be asked to babysit him anymore. That's not alienation, by the way. She's just being dramatic and trying to guilt trip you into changing your mind. Siliquix says, not the a-hole. Your son is literally almost 4 as you state in your edit. That's definitely not early for potty training. If anything, what she's doing is regressive and going to harm him going forward. On top of that, you have a medical reason and worked with his doctor to keep him out of diapers and she ignored all that. Why did she have diapers on hand in the first place? She seems weirdly obsessed with the fact you have a potty-trained preschooler, which is age-appropriate, and wildly uninformed about toddler health and how potty training works. And OP responds, I honestly have no idea where that diaper came from. We have started buying diapers for my daughter's nursery, but only in newborn sizes. And Owls and Cardinals says, not the a-hole. It wasn't her place to go against your clear wishes, and now she has to face the consequences. That's all that really matters here. Your son was not and is not in danger. You were working with his pediatrician on this, and her using one example of an accident as proof of her uninformed medical knowledge is ridiculous. At any age, a child learning to use the potty will be prone to occasional accidents, and it doesn't mean you revert to diapers every time, obviously. It sounds like your mother-in-law is unusually stubborn and has a classic case of, I know better. I think your boundary and consequence are perfectly appropriate. You aren't cutting her off from him, so any alienation would be created by her. Additional information from OP's comments. First, to get it out of the way, I'm not in the USA, we live in South America. Also, cloth diapers were lifesavers during my son's potty training, but I don't exactly miss the days of scooping out poop. The extra laundry also turned out to be a con. I still think I'll use regular diapers on my daughter when she's born though, unless she's also allergic. In general, we have an okay relationship with my mother-in-law. This isn't the only boundary she's overstepped, but it's the only one that actually bothers me. This was my son's first accident since last September. He wet the bed. He's mostly potty trained. Sometimes he has accidents. Those are both rare and normal, and my mother-in-law knows that. The conspiracy theory that she planned this is possible, but I doubt it. She didn't wash his clothes, she put them in a plastic bag and returned them to me. They definitely stank of urine, so I don't think the accident was fabricated. These are increasingly rare occurrences, and we have no interest in actually cutting contact right now. The only people who are allowed to babysit my son are my mother plus stepfather, my sister, my brother-in-law, and my best friend, his godmother. Mother-in-law is just no longer on the list, and I realize rights wasn't the right word. It's more of a permission she has lost. Alright, well, as I assumed, it's to no one's surprise, but the community deemed OP to not be the a-hole. And OP cleared up a few doubts in the additional context that we got. She also doesn't know where the other diaper came from, but apparently there are no other grandchildren because she only mentioned her daughter. In any case, it's time to move on to the update that comes from the subreddit entitled Parents. So let's move on with that. But before that, if you're enjoying this video so far, please go ahead and click that like button. Also, don't forget to leave me a comment, whether it be text or emoji form. And if you're enjoying my content, maybe today is the day you'll consider joining our community. Just click that subscribe button and feel better. And now, let's move on to that update. This post is from the subreddit entitled Parents, and it's by the same OP. My mother-in-law put my potty-trained son in a diaper. Hey guys, thank you for your comments and reassurance. It's good to know I'm not crazy. I didn't think I'd write an update, at least not this soon, but I found out something this week that cemented things for me. Since the diaper incident happened, I'd been wondering where my mother-in-law had gotten the diaper from. When I asked her about it, she told me it was a leftover from when my son was younger. As much as I didn't think that was true, it did make some sense and she swore by it. When I asked my son back in December, he just told me she had the diaper. After my original post, some people reached out to me with theories about that. I talked to my husband about them, and on Friday, we decided to confront his mother again. We did it over the phone after our son went to bed. This time, she decided she wanted to come clean, her exact words. She admitted the diaper wasn't a leftover, but rather a new one she bought right after my son's accident. To clarify, rather than obey my instructions and change my son into his spare clothes, my mother-in-law left him alone in her bathtub while she went to the pharmacy across the street from her house and bought diapers. She left my 3-year-old alone in her house for 10 whole minutes because she wanted to prove a point. I couldn't believe it when she said that. I honestly thought she was joking. I'm sincerely surprised and really effing grateful he didn't turn on the tap. He loves baths. She claimed what she did was fine because the bathtub was empty and she'd locked the bathroom door. She also said my son was crying when she got home and she comforted him by saying it would make me and my husband happy to see him in a diaper. And then she had the nerve to say it was good to get this off her chest and that we could finally move on from this. That part almost made me drive to her place and punch her in the face. Needless to say, the word outraged doesn't even begin to cover how we're feeling. My husband yelled at her for over half an hour before hanging up the phone. Of course, this means we're never leaving her alone with the kids again. That's final. My husband and I talked to our son about it and he said he didn't tell us anything because he didn't want us to be mad at him. We managed to reassure him he'd done nothing wrong. We promised he's a big boy and he'll never wear a diaper again. My mother-in-law called us several times over the weekend. She gave us dozens of excuses ranging from, "I couldn't find his underwear." I clearly remember her announcing she had it when she called me that day, to, "I left my sons home alone all the time when they were younger." My husband had no idea. We lost whatever patience we had yesterday. We decided she wouldn't be allowed near our family for the next 6 months. If she doesn't improve her behavior until then, that will become permanent. She's also uninvited from our son's 4th birthday party next month and won't be allowed to see our daughter at the hospital when she's born. I'm due in May. She doesn't know the hospital and it's not the same my son was born in. That said, I'll make sure to talk to the hospital staff. We sent her a text with the above before blocking her. That was all yesterday, so we'll see how it goes from here. Even if she does change, she'll never be allowed to babysit our kids again. We have other people who can take care of them on occasion. Yes, I know it takes a village, it also takes population control. So for now, she is dead to us. Our 6-month deadline, which I'm thinking of turning into a year, is the final chance we're giving her. We're doing this purely because she's my husband's only living parent. My father-in-law passed away 10 years ago, and it took a huge toll on my husband. So I don't blame him for wanting to take this low. That said, the first time she steps out of line after this period, she's done. We're on the same page about all of this. Again, thank you all. Oh, wow, OP, I don't know what else to say. Your mother-in-law is not just stubborn, but she's an outright complete idiot. She left the kid alone in the bathtub with a locked door? Yeah, she deserves everything that's coming to her, and if it's 1 year of no contact yet dead to us, yeah, absolutely okay too. I understand the final chance considering your husband, but yeah, if she steps out of line one more time, she's done. And personally, I don't know if I would have been as nice as you. Ugh. And with all that being said, OP, here's wishing you, your son, and your husband the best in the future. Thank you so much for sharing and take care. Now, I know I'd said my video structure was only going to be one post with an update and a mood booster, but I just couldn't resist with the next post. It's short and it has 2 updates. Let's move on with that. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user FineNeat3967. Am I the a-hole for forcing my daughter to share a hotel room? I have 2 daughters, 14 female and 16 female. We decided to go to New Zealand for summer vacation. It's summer for us. We haven't been able to go on many vacations before, so all of us were really excited. We booked a nice hotel and planned to visit many places. We planned to book one room for my husband and me and booked another room with connecting doors for my daughters. I didn't see a problem, but my daughters want their own room and want privacy and think it's unfair that they have to share. But they are barely going to be spending any time in their rooms. They would only use it for changing and sleeping. So I told them to just deal with it. The room would have a double bed, so I didn't see an issue. My daughter wants us to get a triple suite with 3 rooms or just book another room so both of them can have their own room. But it would cost quite a lot more money than we could afford. I don't think the extra privacy is worth it as they don't really use their rooms much, so I told them no. Now they are upset with me, and my husband and his mother are saying we should maybe pay the extra money for another room. Should I just pay for another room? Wow, no, OP, I'll make this short. Your children are acting entitled. It's already a huge thing to be taking them for a trip to New Zealand. I don't know where you're from, but I'm guessing you're not from New Zealand. So if I was in your shoes, I would give them 3 choices. One is the one that you've already given them. Shut up and just come and have fun with us. 2 would be, well, if you've got any extra money, you guys can pay for it. If you don't have extra money, get a job. You can mow lawns, you can babysit, you can do whatever you can, but if you want the money, work for it. Or 3, well, they could stay with grandma since for some reason she has an opinion on this. And then they have the freedom to choose which option they want. And what do you guys think about this situation? What is your judgment? Let me know in the comment section. Now, in this case, I'm only going to read one comment and then I'm going to go straight to the updates that have both been curated into one. Princess Fiona 7437 says, sounds like mother-in-law just volunteered to watch your kids for a week so you and your husband can enjoy a nice vacation without the kids. Not the a-hole. Your kids sound very entitled. When I was growing up, I never had my own bedroom. I always had to share with my sister. And as for vacations, we couldn't afford to go on them. Maybe it's time to take your daughters to volunteer at a food bank so they can learn to appreciate what they have. OP's update. I talked to my daughters last night and I showed them some of the comments. I told them that they weren't getting another room unless they could pay for it themselves. The 14-year-old could do babysitting or part-time jobs around the neighborhood, and the 16-year-old could get a part-time job and I would take whatever money they earn until they paid for the hotel bill. Both my daughters were strongly opposed and didn't want to work. Surprise, surprise. I ended up telling them that they could either share a room, pay for it themselves, or just not go. I gotta say, OP, your logic is irrefutable. We could afford to pay for the room, but I feel like they are already spoiled. They never had to share a room on vacation before, as we always used to book a suite when going on vacation. But we haven't been abroad in years, and the trip to New Zealand is already expensive. And we don't want to spend more money even if we can afford it. I talked to my husband and I managed to convince him not to give in. We told our daughters firmly it wasn't happening. We hadn't booked the tickets yet, and we told them if they kept complaining, they wouldn't be included, and they would have to stay at grandma's, where they would also have to share a guest room. They want to stay at home alone, but I don't think that's a good idea, so I refused. They reluctantly agreed to come. OP's final update. We booked the tickets and we ended up not including our daughters, mainly because they just kept complaining. Last night, they came to ask me why I wouldn't pay for it if I could afford it, and why couldn't they stay home alone. They said, "Why don't you guys care about our comfort and privacy? And you'll ruin the trip because we won't even have our own rooms, which is a basic comfort." They tried to convince us to let them stay home alone, but the last time I did that, my oldest threw a party, so I don't trust them. And even if I did, I don't feel comfortable leaving them home alone for a whole week. They threw another tantrum, and I just told them they wouldn't be coming, and it was final. I was going to leave them at my mother-in-law's, but she wants to take our daughters on a 4-day trip to Sydney where they will get their own rooms. She did this to make up for us ruining our daughter's trip by making them share a room and excluding them if they didn't. But I just told her no because I've spoiled them too much and I'm not rewarding a tantrum. My sister didn't want to take them. Again, surprise, surprise. But my brother agreed to take them, so I'll be leaving them there where one of them has to sleep on the couch and the other on an air mattress as they don't have an extra room. My daughters have complained, but they aren't coming. This will probably be my final update. Thanks. Oh wow, OP, you don't only have a spoiled children problem, you have a mother-in-law problem. What the hell is she thinking? Man, just like the first OP in this video, I would also rethink the relationship with mother-in-law on this one. Anyways, hopefully in this trip that you're taking, OP, your daughters do learn a little bit of humility. Enjoy New Zealand and thanks for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.